Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Ayn and I'm an events manager in the publishing industry, and you can probably tell given the amount of books that I've got just over here. This is the first time that I film a video in a while, and what I want to talk about today is what are those myths that surround being a bookworm. I just cannot stand when people feel like they need to do certain things to be considered a bookworm. It's just one of those things that actually didn't really work quite well this year. A lot of people went into book slumps, they couldn't read, they really struggled, and that just affected the community in an interesting way. I've kept talking about it with my Bookstagram friends, and it's quite interesting. We seem to think that to be a bookworm you need to do certain things, and if you don't do those things then you can't really call yourself a bookworm. And I object to that. I just don't believe in that. I don't like that. I think everyone can call themselves a bookworm as long as they love books. So here are some of the things that I feel have held me back in the past from joining the bookish community, and that I think might be stopping you from joining as well. First thing that I want to mention is something that for a long time I thought would actually prevent me from joining the publishing industry. And it is the concept that to be a bookworm and to be considered someone who really loves books, you need to read a lot. And what is even reading a lot? How many books is that? How many books a year do you have to read? I think, to be honest, that's just completely nonsensical. You can read 5 books a year, you can read 50 books a year, you can read 100 books a year, and you're still a bookworm. I don't believe in that. I don't believe in the fact that people need to read a certain number. I don't like metrics, and there's a lot of talk about vanity metrics on social media, and just in this day and age, everything is about how many followers you have and how many subscribers you have and how many books have you read and how many things have you done. What about what books represent for you? What have they helped you achieve? If you read 5 books in a year, but they've helped to shape your path, or they got you out of a really dark place, whatever that might be, that's valid. You're a bookworm, you love books, and it doesn't matter that you haven't read hundreds of them. This was one of the things that honestly I felt so self-conscious about when I entered the publishing industry in the UK, because people just seem to read very fast, and they just read so many different books, and I've got to be honest, I'm not really sure that they actually read the whole amount of books that they said they did. This is a bit mean of me, but I don't know. I will never know. But what I know is that I don't read a huge amount of books. I work with a lot of books and I start a lot of books, but this leads me very nicely into the next point, which is you don't actually need to finish every book that you start. I've said it. Yes. You do not need to finish every book that you start. If you do not like a book, stop reading it. Life is honestly too short. You just don't have enough time. And to be honest, even if you do have enough time, why don't dedicate it to a different book or something else that you might want to do and you actually would enjoy? I think the whole thing around you must finish a book, or you've got to read a lot, all these things are just telling me that you're doing the reading for someone else. What's wrong with not finishing a book? If you don't like it, you don't like it. Put it away, pick another one up, or read something else, read a magazine, or don't read. It's fine. I think there is a lot of shame in the bookish world. There is a lot of pointing the finger and a lot of virtue signaling based on what you read and what you don't read and would never read. And that's the next thing for me. There isn't a genre of books that makes you more of a bookworm than another. You can literally read whatever you like. Whatever genre is your genre, just go with it. And if you don't have a favorite one, that's fine. That's even better in my opinion, actually. Just read whatever book serves you well in that moment of your life. You're not more of a bookworm if you read literary fiction. You're not less of a bookworm if you read non-fiction or self-help. I don't like that. That's a silly way of looking at things. You can get really good things and you can learn and you can enjoy and get lots of entertainment out of all the genre that exist. And it's important that we support different kind of books because we're all very different. And if we all start reading literary fiction, we're all gonna start thinking in the same way. We need to all read whatever we like to read. And it's fine. If you like to read I don't know, like I'm thinking about thrillers, or if you like to read romance, then just, you know, read it. It's okay. Read whatever you love and call yourself a bookworm and be proud of it, because you are a bookworm, because you love books. And the last thing that I'm going to mention, which is also linked to the first one that I mentioned, so the reading a lot of books, is the reading books very fast. I'm going to say it here, and I hope this helps somebody. Sometimes it can take me up to a year to finish a book. I don't always finish books. Sometimes I put them aside and I pick them back up whenever I need them. I read a lot of nonfiction, which means that often I would read maybe like a chapter of a book, but not necessarily the entire book, or a few chapters of that book. And once I need more from that book, I pick it back up, which means that I am kind of considered a slow reader, because obviously I don't finish books within a week or a few days. I sometimes take a very long time to read a book, because I will read it based on what mood I'm in that day or that week, because sometimes I just need to read things for work, or sometimes I just don't really want to read and I'm into Netflix. But don't you do the same with like Netflix, for example? Because I often get really into a Netflix show and then I stop like at season 2 and there's like other 7 seasons that I could watch, but I just stop, and like maybe I go back to it in a year's time or like a few months after I have stopped. I just feel like we need to be a bit more flexible. Reading is not a marathon. You're not trying to get to a certain goal, and I think if you're trying to do that, you put this like enormous amount of pressure on yourself, and that just really does not help in terms of trying to enjoy the act of reading and trying to enjoy the books and get the best out of those books that you have chosen to read. So these are my things that I absolutely cannot tolerate, and I don't believe that there are rules to being a bookworm. So if you do love books and consider yourself a bookworm, you are a bookworm. You don't need to read 50, 100 books a year. You don't need to read book fast. You certainly do not need to finish all your books. Yes, you do not need to finish all your books. I'm going to repeat that just in case it needs to sink in. And no matter what genre you read, you can definitely consider yourself a bookworm, because all genres are valid and they're very important for the, you know, bookish world ecosystem. We need different books. We need all the books. So that's it. I hope that this is like a short video that can help you to think about yourself as a bookworm. I absolutely love the book industry. I love the bookish world, including, you know, like Bookstagram and booktubers and everyone else that really wants to kind of support the industry and the community. But I do think we need to drop the judgment and let everyone approach books and let everyone enjoy books in whatever way works for them. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this video, and I will see you next time.